Welcome to week 3's first bonus video on batch renaming. You may be getting the, misguided opinion that I don't like Lightroom. I do like Lightroom. I just love Bridge. Bridge is why. It's the reason I can be fast, efficient, high quality, and get images out to my customers, to my clients, so quickly. Now, I love that Lightroom is non-destructive. In that regard, it beats Photoshop, but I love how Lightroom helps me be so much more quick. Today's bonus video on renaming is one such example where Bridge really outshines Lightroom for efficiency, high quality, and quickness. But before I give you that illustration, I want to show you a problem. You have a problem. You've been experiencing a problem when you create files. When you create files, some of you often name the files with a portion of the date. For example, I'm using X here, okay? So day, month, year. Day, month, year. Let's just say that that's June 21st, 2021. Let's just say, okay, when you shoot and you name these things. The problem is you're using these forward slashes between your dates. Forward slashes are illegal characters. Illegal characters will break your applications. They will destroy your operating system's directory. They will cause things to generally break, crash, and burn. You need to know, this is not new, it's old, but you need to know that you need to avoid certain illegal characters on both the Mac and the PC platforms. Here is a list of the illegal characters. Don't use them. Wow. So I just make note of those illegal characters. Do a screenshot and print it. Write those down by hand and stick them to your computer keyboard. Right? But don't use these characters. They have other jobs in operating systems that basically turn off their necessity in file naming. In fact, it's a no-no. Let's just say that. It's a no-no. So when I discover that I've got files named thusly, I need to rename them. Now, I'm going to take this folder that I've called Rename, and I've got some samples in it. And I want to just show you, I'm going to go over to Lightroom, and I'm going to import my Rename folder into Lightroom. Here they are, rename. Those are the images. And I'm just going to import them. Now I named these with dates in their file names, and I'm going to import. And Lightroom automatically says some operations were not performed. Now, what does that mean? It means you used illegal characters, and Lightroom, even Lightroom, knows better than to import these files with those bad character names. Now, a moment ago, I showed you that I used slashes, forward slashes, but look at what Lightroom is trying to do here. Lightroom is trying to translate. You can't use a slash. So it's translating to a colon between those X's. I didn't do that. They actually have slashes. But what Lightroom doesn't realize is that colons are also illegal characters. This will not do. This will not help me. I cannot do anything but click OK, which is basically cancel. I can't rename those files. I'm gonna quit Lightroom. Yeah, I really want to quit. Instead, I'm going to take any one of these images. By the way, don't fight yourself. Don't fight yourself. Why would you fight that technical battle in Lightroom when you don't have to? Now you're armed, okay? You're better prepared now. You know that there are illegal characters, and I'm going to show you how you can avoid them, even if you've been given folders or directories named by other friends of yours, other photographers of yours who have used these improper characters. Try your best not to use them. Good luck. But when you do, there's a fix. So I'm going to take any one of these images and just drag and drop it to Bridge. And Bridge says, here you go, I'm looking at them. Now, I don't know if you blinked, but you may have noticed that Bridge didn't give me an error. In fact, there was no problem here because Bridge doesn't have to import them into a catalog. Did you miss that? No tech, no woe, no problem. Drag and drop it into Bridge. More than half the battle is already over. I'm going to do Edit, Select All. Now notice your keyboard shortcut. That's the Mac. And on the PC, it's Control A. So I don't have to go to my menus any longer. I can just do it. Command A. Got it. And now, under the Tools menu in Bridge, there's a batch. Rename. I'd like to do it. Now let me show you something else that is impossibly difficult in Lightroom. I'm going to choose the very simple renaming command that we always need and always desire and always use, called string substitution. And all that means is find this string of characters and replace it with that string of characters. And sometimes the string isn't even a string. Sometimes it's just a character. That's a very tiny string. And you look here and it says, where do you want me to put the rename files? I'm going to rename them in the same folder. Rename my actual files. Or I could remove them to another folder after I rename, or I could copy them to another folder. Either way, I'm going to rename in the same folder, wherever they are. It knows. String substitution. Yeah, thanks. Hey, find that illegal character that I used, a /, and I'd like you to replace it with a character that's not illegal. It turns out a dash or a hyphen is not illegal. Now I could hit rename in the upper right and be done. But I'd like you to look below. Look below right there where it just says current preview. Current file name is this. And notice that even Bridge realizes you can't use those slashes. So it's saying, I would have read it like this, but now you're asking me to do this. Is that okay with you? Yeah. Okay, now I've spent a whole lot more time explaining this than it actually takes to produce. Let's just do it. Done. I'm done. And because I'm not importing files from my hard drive into Lightroom, no, because I'm actually interacting with them directly, those actual files on my actual hard drive have been actually fixed forever and ever, and for every app that ever needs to come in contact with them. That's batch rename. Incredible. Now, one more thing I want to show you while we're in there. When I batch rename, and I just did the keyboard shortcut on the Mac, Command-Shift-R, Control-Shift-R on the PC, and you make these choices, you can also save these choices for your future if these are the kinds of things you do often. So whatever you do, string substitution, however you set it up, you can save it as a renaming, a batch renaming preset. You can save it. Give it a name. This fixes my forward slashes, and I'll never have to do that again. Good. I now have one that fixes my forward slashes. But if I click and hold, you can see I've already saved a few of these. Right? I've saved one of these that renames in the same folder new file names. Take whatever I did out there and rename those files with this text, my copyright symbol, Rick Burress hyphen, and then I want you, Bridge, to rename each of my photos in sequence. I want you to use, starting at the number 18, but I want you to use 3 digits, and so you look down and it'll say, I'm going to rename that file, preview, copyright Rick Burress, dash 018. I asked it to start at 18. I said I wanted 3 digits, and it will process it. That's a way to batch rename a sequence of files, whatever value or number you'd like to start with. Incredible. So I did that once by adding more criteria and adding more criteria. Now I could subtract. I don't need this criteria. But you'll see how I got to these things to begin with. Holy smokes. Now you don't know this weird language, but the internet actually runs on a backbone, an operating system that's neither Mac nor Windows. The internet runs on a language called Unix, U-N-I-X. And Unix has specialty gobbledygook internet commands. There's secret code for how to interact with file types and names and directories on the internet. And that's why on Macs, PCs, or the internet, you can't name files with a /. Why? Because on the internet, / means something. You already know this, right? When you go to a website and you see blah, 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 lightroomsolutions.com, / means, and then look in a folder called articles, and then look in a directory called complex file renaming in Lightroom. Okay, so / means, and then look in a folder. And that's why you can't name your files that, because the Mac and the PC will see that / and think it means, and then look in a folder called XX. There is no folder. And then look in a folder called XXXX. There is no folder. And then look in a folder called 2020. There is no folder. It's a part of the file name, you see. All right, so that explains a bit of the mystery. But if you know Unix, and you don't, you may know a friend who does, they may, or you may find a preset that somebody has created for batch renaming on the internet already, and you can download it and use it here in Bridge. This is very advanced, but you'll see that you can actually find Unix secret shortcut commands in Bridge and replace those. Now, you and I are mere mortals, and we're not going to do that, but notice, it doesn't just read Windows commands or Mac commands, it can read Unix commands. That's the internet. That's the backbone of the internet. That was a little bit of advanced gobbledygook cleanup, so I don't remember that. I copied that from the internet at some point, and I pasted it in, and I saved it as gobbledygook cleanup. All right. Here, this is interesting. Photo info as the name. I could say, in my metadata of any actual file, find the ISO rating. Just find it. And then put a dash. And then find from the metadata the focal length. And then put a dash. And then find me in the metadata the lens type. And it will find every file and do that in the name. It's renaming it. F48. How did it know? Dash 1250th ISO. Shutter speed, or there's my frame, my focal length. All of that, it's becoming the name of my file. Whew, that's fancy. That's super fancy data. By looking at the metadata and renaming my file based on the metadata. It's advanced. Remove numbers. These are samples of things that I'm using. These are very complicated versions of things you might do, but what you will do, the most common thing to do is just string substitution. Find this text and replace it with that text. But good luck doing that in any mere mortal way in Lightroom. It's a piece of cake here in Bridge. And so that's bonus video 1, batch renaming.